I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. The city's 200th anniversary is a great way to celebrate the rich history of this area. Watch as local artists honor the past through music and spoken word during the Voices of Ann Arbor.
Voices of Ann Arbor, I feel, are the composers and the poets and the writers that this town has been a kind of arboretum for. And this was a opportunity to take what Ann Arbor is through the years, from its German immigration to its locus as an underground railroad, to its protest songs in the 60s. And we sort of weaved Ann Arbor composers and Ann Arbor poets, fresh poetry for the occasion, to make a concert out of it.
I think the official way of describing it is town and gown, right? That mixture between the city and the people of the city, and then also having the university here with all the resources that they have. So it's bringing this two sides of the city together, I think, is what enriches the evening.
My very own Sunday morning in deep waters day.
Where there's protest, there's usually art, and where there's lots of different sort of controversy, there's art. And Ann Arbor was kind of a breeding ground for that.
Music makes the air vibrate, it reaches your ears through vibration, and there's something about music which enters our bodies and opens us up ready for messages.
This was also a way of reflecting about Ann Arbor and how you see yourself through that lens.
Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. Public art makes a big impact on the landscape of any city. Back in 2019, a local businessman commissioned a mural on East Liberty Street to honor an old city landmark. The Cupcake Station may no longer exist at this locale, but the mural stands tall to this day.
The Cupcake Station is now a treat for the eyes as a mural by Jesse Castle stands tall on the building's facade.
This project came to be through the Ann Arbor Art Center, working with local developer Ed Shafran on producing a mural on this property.
When he looked at Jesse's work, right away he connected with it. He liked the color, he liked the way the compositions that Jesse put together. So we let him drive that. He said, I would really like to interpret what people maybe 50 years ago would have seen and loved about Ann Arbor. What would that look like in a contemporary format today? So that was the conversation he and Jesse had. So that's what this is.
From what I gathered, that this is the old Pretzel Bell building, so that is, you know, a big statement right in front with the pretzel and the bell. There's also a lot of elements like the waves and the kayak here are references to the rivers and, you know, outdoor activities. A bunch of different elements. Some of it is just sort of like abstract, just to help the composition.
It's fun when you can really look at something for a long time and keep seeing something new. And then you talk to people about it and everybody interprets what they see differently. So it's a great conversation starter, and it's super lively and gets people to look at it from this side of town.
There are many chances to volunteer in Washtenaw County, but one entity requires the help of environmental stewards. Learn more about the many opportunities with the natural area preservation in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi, I'm Tina Stevens, volunteer and outreach coordinator with the City of Ann Arbor's Natural Area Preservation. Our mission is to protect and restore Ann Arbor's natural areas and to foster an environmental ethic within the community. There are many ways that you can volunteer to support the natural areas, including volunteering with our breeding bird survey program, becoming a turtle steward, or taking photos as part of our photo monitoring program. You can even volunteer to join our prescribed burn crew. Most folks volunteer by attending our public work days, which take place nearly every weekend. At these events, we do things like hand pull invasive garlic mustard, cut invasive shrubs, or collect and spread native seeds. To learn more about NAP or how to volunteer with these opportunities, visit www.a2gov.org/NAP.
Ann Arbor is known for its April Fool's shenanigans with the annual full moon and Festifools. But when the world shut down due to COVID, so did these beloved events. 2024 is bringing back the humor and silliness with over-the-top art taking over the downtown. Joining me is Julie Hagopian, production manager for Festifools. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Hello.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with Festifools and Mark?
Yeah, I was a student at the University of Michigan. I graduated last spring, but I first met Mark in 2021 when I came to volunteer at the Festifools studio. And I walked in and, there's this big room with all of these puppets and there's a bunch of community members in here. And it was just such a warm and welcoming space. And so after volunteering for that Festifools, I wanted to see what else Mark was doing. So I jumped on board on some of his mural projects while I was a student, and I did the fun exhibition at UMA, which was an indoor version of Festifools. And after that, I still wanted to be involved, and he said that I could jump on as an assistant for his mural class. And that's at the point when he was deciding whether or not to continue the Festifools event because the nonprofit had gone out of business. And I told him that if he decided to go on with it, I was on board to help him. And it's just kind of here I am. Here we are doing it. It's happening.
So you're a graduate now, but are you technically working for the university, or you're just part of this whole festival shenanigans?
So it started out as just a volunteer position, but eventually we got a very generous grant from the Arts Initiative to cover my position here. And so, yes, this is my job, the foolish production manager of this event, hoping to have that continue on, but we'll see what happens with institutional things and funding and stuff like that.
Well, I know it's like one of the most beloved events in the downtown, so I think that we all, fingers crossed, hope to see it continue and to have you see it grow too, hopefully.
Absolutely. I'm really, really looking forward to that. I feel like this year, Mark and I kind of set the groundworks for everything, and I'm really hoping that this summer we'll be able to put everything together in a sort of manageable schedule. So next year, it will be easier to facilitate all of these steps that we've put into place.
Can you talk about that funding aspect that you mentioned? So at some point, you guys lost the funding to do festivals through a nonprofit, and now it's back again, but you need to maintain that funding for years to come?
Yeah, so when we started this event, we started at 0 this year. And the reason Mark decided to continue on with this event is because he received a very generous donation from Larry and Lucy Nissen, who wanted him to continue it. And from there, we went on to get the grant from Arts Initiative to support my position. And from then on, we've just been kind of doing grassroots fundraising, sending out emails, asking our followers on Facebook. We sell luminary kits and are hoping to make a little bit of money from that. And we've had many, many generous donors step up and help us out, both with their bodies and working and financially.
I think it's important to note that you guys do need money for this event, and everyone wants to see it continue to happen. So if you are looking to support arts in Ann Arbor, this is a great way to do so. Talk about obviously you mentioned the luminaries, which are associated with the full moon aspect of it. So you can get a kit, and then what does the kit entail? And then you can create it at your house?
Yeah, so for full moon, our event on April 5th from 8 to midnight this year, we have several ways you can get involved with that. And one of them is buying, I have one right here. One of them is buying a luminary sculpture kit that volunteers helped us create. And inside of this kit, you have absolutely everything you need to create a sculpture, from video instructions online to tissue paper, lights, batteries, wire cutters, scissors, absolutely everything you need. Another way you can get involved with Full Moon is coming to our workshops on Sundays, where we have all the materials needed to build a really creative, cool luminary sculpture, and parade float artist Jimmy Thompson has been helping us facilitate those.
Wow, that's amazing. If you wanted to just get the kit, how do you obtain the kit by itself?
So the kits are for sale at Ace Barnes Hardware on Stadium, Sweetwater's on Washington, and at Found Gallery. So you can buy them there. They're $20, and all of those proceeds go to helping support our projects here.
And is there a theme for this year's full moon?
The theme this year is full bloom, so kind of ideas of growth and color and beauty, and everyone is totally welcome to take that theme with whatever they want, but yeah, hoping to see a lot of really cool, colorful creations at the event this year.
I think the cool thing about having a theme is that it sort of gives you ideas, but then you find that people have like just these amazing creative brains and they come up with stuff that you'd never even think of.
Yeah, it offers a starting point for people that are just like, oh, I can make anything. What does anything mean? And so we try to set a theme so people have something to jump off of.
And then tell us about this year's Festifools, bringing it back, how it feels to be bringing it back, and what people can expect this year.
Yeah, so this year's Festifools is called Festifables. That's the theme. So all of the students in Mark Tucker's Art in Public Spaces course have created giant puppets that started off from some sort of story. So we have like a goose in here that's based off of the Goose and the Golden Egg, and we have monsters and birds and creatures of all different types. So expect to see some giant, cool anthropomorphic puppets at the event, and we hope to have some cool drummers there. We hope to have Groove join us, and we hope that there's lots of music, lots of fun, and just lots of energy and good weather.
Oh, totally. But I think people will come regardless of the weather aspect. But I think a cool thing about it is, even if you're not making a puppet, you're still part of the parade essentially when you go to the event, and you can be as foolish and dress up and do whatever you want with your family.
Yeah,
That's
and
part of the fun.
we also invite the community to come down and stand under a puppet for the parade if they want. We have plenty of puppets to animate, and so we invite the community to come on down and help us out if they want to do that too.
So all the stuff behind you, is that from this year or some of that from the past as well?
So anything hanging from the rafters is from previous years, but all of the stuff on the tables that is just paper mache or white at this point is from this year and is going to be at the event. So most of the puppets from each year don't end up being kept because they're a fire hazard and there's just not that much space for how big these puppets get. But there are a lot of heads that Mark keeps sentimentally, and everything else will be on the streets.
Have you made a puppet this year or in the past?
I haven't made one this year, but I made one for the fun exhibition at UMA, which those pieces there were collaboratively made by the community as well, and we based them off of pieces of art at the museum. So yeah, I made a Komainu sculpture hanging in the window in the Stun Gallery. It was so much fun.
The pieces are just so amazing. When you see like a piece, like when you do the mayor or something like that, and you see that person next to the actual person, the artistry is off the charts. It's so ridiculously good. How are you guys doing this? Is it just paper mache? I mean, like, how does it come about?
So it's actually an incredible thing to see it happen because pretty much every student in here is a first year student who is not an art major. And so Mark brings them in here and he hands them this bucket of cardboard strips and he says, go. And so these students, they just start building. They put cardboard strips together with staples and eventually something comes to shape. And so after the cardboard, we paper mache, base coat white, and then paint. And then somewhere in that process, we figure out ways to start animating the puppets. Like maybe we cut open the jaw and make it so that it can open and close, or so the head can turn. And so those pieces are structurally done with bamboo and PVC pipes throughout the process.
Is it more helpful to have like a larger piece so you can do the sort of animation when you're out?
I think that when the pieces get larger, well, so these pieces are all huge, obviously. They're all bigger than a normal person's size, but when you get to the street, they shrink down because of all the buildings. So I personally think the bigger the better, and the bigger the moment and the interaction can be with the crowd. So I think that's always really fun when students decide to go big. But I also think that the smaller pieces can have a fun personal touch to them as well.
So is it a process of learning how to be the puppet master? I mean, I feel like that has to be in itself sort of something you have to learn how to do.
Yeah, so learning how to put structure in and how to make that work. And then I think a big part of this process is learning what you want to say through your art and how you can say that through a puppet that is on the street for only an hour. And although sometimes that can be a challenge, I think these students are doing really well, figuring out how to make meaning out of this and how to make meaning for the audience as well.
Yeah, that's a good point because I feel like this is one of those art shows where it's not just a surface thing. You really are thinking about what you're saying to the public. And that is a big aspect of it. But the artistry is, I mean, I'm amazed that you're telling me that these are non-artists, first timers making these puppets. I mean, you guys have to be helping in some ways to just like moving the process along.
Oh yeah, pulled in all sorts of different directions, trying to help figure out how this jaw can work, how this wing can flap, what material would be best to cover this. But I think it's just a process, and it's you try things, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And although we do help a lot, Mark helps a lot, the students are honestly really independent and they help each other too. And they can see what's going on in different aspects of the classroom and go, oh, that head turns like that. I can figure out how to do that. And it's so cool to see the growth of the students. That's one of my favorite parts.
Have you had any pieces really speak to you this year that have just really stuck out to you?
I feel like I can't answer that yet because we're pretty far out from any of these pieces being a thing yet. Nothing is painted yet, but I am just honestly so impressed by the grandeur of all of these pieces. And I think it's really special when students do create something they're very proud of, and that means a lot to them.
When is Festifools this year?
Festivals this year is on April 7th. It's a Sunday from 4 to 5 p.m. on downtown and Main Street.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that it is only an hour, so like you should get there, be
Get
ready
there early.
Yes, totally. Can you talk about, obviously Full Moon and Festivals are two completely different events. Can you talk about the difference and why maybe people should check out both of them because they're so different?
They are super different. So Full Moon is a nighttime event from 8 p.m. till midnight. And Full Moon is kind of more the community oriented event because all throughout the month of March, community members can come into our workshops or buy kits and create their own pieces of art to bring to the event. That's actually what we 100% encourage. We want the event to be more art than spectators. Because that leaves the coolest impression and leaves more to look at. And so this event, 3 groups will start at Constellation stations and they'll march downtown at the same time with a band accompaniment. And everybody will arrive on Washington Street at around 8:15-ish for a giant street party featuring the Ruckus Live, which is a really cool jazz band from SMTD, and DJ PBH, and Detroit Party Marching Band. And Grizzly Peak has created a special Fool Brew drink. And so Full Moon is kind of just like a big street party at night that celebrates art and creativity. While Festifools is the daytime event from 4 to 5 p.m. And most of the things during that event are made by the students. But community members do come in to help us paper mache and to animate them.
So are there workshops still available where community members can come in with for the festivals?
We have 2 weekends left of workshops and volunteer days. So on the next 2 Sundays, I'm not quite sure what those dates are, we'll be having workshops at Hathaway's Hideaway to build luminary sculptures. And on the Saturdays, we're inviting people down to our studio to help paint and paper mache the puppets.
Well, we're almost out of time. Before we go, why don't you tell people how and why they can support both of these events and continue to have them be a part of the fabric of Ann Arbor for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so if you want to support these events, you can find donation links on our Facebook page at Festifools Studio, or you can find our giving page through the Michigan giving websites. And I really think you should support these events because they create an outlet for everyone in the community who hasn't been involved in art or is an artist themselves to get involved and just be fun and foolish and set aside worries for a day to just have fun with our community. And I think that's something that Ann Arbor needs.
Well, thank you, Julie, so much for chatting about this, and best of luck with everything. I think it'll be amazing to have it fully back in the downtown, both events. I mean, I think everyone loves Full Moon. Every time you talk to someone about Full Moon, it's like the greatest night of their life. So to have that back and festivals, which I personally think is like one of my favorite things because it's just so amazing to see. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks so much. I'm so excited. And as you can see, there is still so much work to do. So
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching and tune in next time to FYI.